Well, good morning, welcome to another video. Today you join me on a 24-hour session at Oak Lake, a bit of a social. I've got my mate Joe, he's just in the swim next to me. I'm actually on peg 34 and he's on peg 33. We flipped for it when we got here. An angler here before we were fishing, that was fishing this swim, said they've been crashing in the bay of the island and just in the margin to my right, so I think I've got the lucky swim, to be honest. I'm already set up, obviously you can see bivvy's up, all three rods are out on their spots. I've got my left hand rod, which is on a blowback rig on the core, with a core boilie that's been glugged in the core liquid for about a week now. That's just almost in the middle on the bay of the island. My middle rod's on a twister rig, which is a new rig that I'm using, which I'll go through with you later. That's just to the right of that, just on the point of the island, about 3 yards off the island, just on the point. And my right hand rod is just in the margin under a tree to my right. As you probably tell, I'm on the end swim, so I've got quite a lot of water to fish and a nice bay there. So I might even put 2 rods in the margin later, we'll see what happens. But weather's meant to be quite nice today. Cloudy this afternoon, but it's absolutely blazing hot at the minute, so down in the t-shirt. But yeah, fingers crossed we might be into a fish fairly soon, but it's looking good and we'll see what happens. Well, there we are then, 18 pounds 8 ounces. That was on the left hand rod out towards the island on the core blowback rig. In first fish of the day. That's 3 or 4 hours of being here. And what a start. Hopefully we'll have a few more to come, hopefully a bit bigger. So let's slip her back.
Hi guys, I'm here fishing with Jack today at Coking Farm on Oak Lake. Just caught one on a blowback rig on core baits. Fishing fairly tight to the island, sort of probably 2 or 3 foot away. Had one sort of drop back earlier, missed it, but sort of second one managed to get hold of it. So here she is, in sort of 15 pound 8. Put up a really good fight. Thankfully it's worn out now. Really nice common. Not quite as big as Jack's earlier, but a nice fish nonetheless.
Right, so just before I bait up for the evening, I've just brought in my middle rod and I'm just showing you what setup that I'm using. It's a new setup that I haven't used much of before, and it's a heli lead setup, and that requires of a tungsten tapered bead with a tungsten mainline sinker, which just fits into the bead just to make the rig safe, just in case I do get snapped off, the fish can push that bead off and it's away free without the lead. Then I've got a sort of like a tapered bead, which is like a line saver bead, and it just protects the line. If I do hook a fish, I don't want it grating against the line, otherwise it will snap off, and that's just there to protect the line. And then that goes down to a heli buffer sleeve and just covers the swivel of my lead, which I've just got that over. So it's almost like a naked chod sort of setup. But then I've got my twister rig, some people call it the Ronnie rig, and that's got a rig swivel, rig ring swivel, and on that I've got my anti-tangle sleeve. Not that you need it much because it's not meant to really tangle this rig. And I've got a bit of IQ2 material as a boom section, and then I've got a little mainline, a little sinker there, hook link sinker with some putty around it, onto a rig ring quick change swivel, size 11 this one, with a little bit of a kicker sleeve just there, just to cover the quick change link. And then I'm using a Core Baits bubblegum pop-up boilie. It's about 16mm size, and that's been soaked in the core glug for about a week now. Just not too much, just enough just so it absorbs in the moisture, and Been out there almost, what, 8 hours, and that's still smelling of the core flavour, so without a doubt that's going to work. Right, so it's just coming into last light, and all the baits are on their spots. As I said, the left hand rod's gone back out on the island with the blowback rig. My centre rod's out towards the far margin on pop-up twister rig with that bubblegum boilie soaked in the core, and then the right hand rod blowback rig on the core just a bit further into the bay, so only probably a couple rod lengths off of my margin on that margin. I've been baiting up with pellet, 14mm pellet, all up along there, and a good scatter in a 16mm the core boilies. Very confident going into the night. There's a lot of activity. The lake behind me, it looks like they're starting to spawn. They're all up on all jumping around in out of the water. But up here there's been a few swirls on the surface, but it looks like the carp are in the area, so hopefully we'll see you in the night with a fish. Well, good morning ladies and gents, and feeling pretty gutted about last night, to be honest. About 10 o'clock, had a screaming run on my middle rod, which happened to be the twister rig on the pop-up, the core baits blue cheese pop-up. Absolutely ripped off. That's the one just under that tree on the end of the lake there, just on the margin, and playing it for about a minute, felt a decent fish. You know when it's not really doing much, it's just plodding along and using its weight, and just as it went off on a powerful run, it sort of shook the hook, unfortunately. But yeah, been pretty gutted about that all night, and apart from that, it's been pretty quiet. I've had one savage, I'm guessing it would have been a liner. Bobbin went racing up to the top, dropped all the way back slack. That was on the left hand rod out towards the island. I've put it down to a liner. It could have been a bite, but it was just too sudden, really. But yeah, that was the evening. I've been up since about 5 this morning, and got all the rods back on the spot with a bit of bait round them. Just hopefully nick a bite in the morning. We've got till 10 o'clock. We have to be off the lake by 10. So from now on, probably slowly be packing the bivvy down. And yeah, the traps are set, and fingers crossed we might get enough one to end on, but we can hope. Well, there we are then. 18 pounds 2 ounces on the same rod as we had the one yesterday. It's coming up to about 9 o'clock, so time to start packing up, but what an absolute belter. That was on the core baits, on the core, on the blowback rig. In makes the one I lost last night a little bit more easier to bear, but what a great fish. Let's slip her back and maybe sneak another one before we go. Well, that brings us to the end of today's session, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We finish on the 2 carp for myself and 1 for Joe. A few missed opportunities with losing fish, but all in all a good session. So thank you very much for watching, and hope to catch you next time.